The eagle screeched as she wheeled through the sky high above camp, her tethers waving like the hair on a war banner. Whoever had cut her leash was probably watching and laughing. Bataar weighed a piece of uncooked meat in his hand, disgusted at himself when his stomach growled. Coaxing her down using the chunk of liver felt wasteful, but it couldn't be helped. "Going hunting? There's good game at the foot of the mountain," an old man called out, gesturing toward the snow-capped red peaks in the distance. With a broad smile, he warned, "Watch out for the griffins, though." Bataar stiffened. The man's drinking companions broke into riotous laughter. "Ha! His face! Like you shoved an arrow up his ass." Fermented milk sloshed from a cup, splashing Bataar's boots. He stepped back, grimacing. He was only 14, but he'd been hunting since he could ride a horse. His pride was already mangled and dirty. It could take a hit, and so could he. These men were shadows of the hunters and fighters they'd been before wars and vermal rot outbreaks had left them scarred and gaunt. The rot took better men. It had killed Bataar's father 2 summers before. Still, he wasn't going to start a brawl with a gaggle of drunks over some teasing. He already lost more fights than he won. These wrinkled sots had never seen a griffin, and neither would Bataar. Each year, the griffins moved closer, but never near the mountains. Attacks on the steppe were so rare that the stories had begun to sound like fables to fill children's heads when their bellies were empty. Soon, winter would freeze the river. The herds would shrink, forcing everyone to ration, just like last year, and the years before. Hunger was the real monster, and Bataar knew how deep its fangs pierced. He tossed the meat, and Erdenna dove down. When she'd scarfed back the chunk of liver, he snatched up her leather jesses where they trailed in the dirt. "You better still be hungry," he whispered. He needed her ravenous. Turning away from the mocking laughter, Bataar slung his bow over his shoulder and set off across camp to gather his friends. Tarkin crouched near one of the cook fires, binding fletching to the shafts of arrows with cord. Bataar nudged him. "You ready?" Shaggy hair fell in Tarkin's face as he squinted up. "Why do you look like your eagle crept in your porridge?" Bataar's ears burned. "Just get your brother." Tarkin held his hands up. All right, all right." As his friend disappeared beyond the threshold of his tent, someone snickered. "Getting a little hunting party together? It'll be gerbil stew for dinner then." Bandages covered the boy's head, hiding where an eagle had almost gouged out his eye. His lackeys cackled. They were still milking the scratches from their hunting accident. Lately, these losers had done nothing but hang around camp, picking on the girls, stuffing their faces, and sneering at anyone they thought was below them, which was almost everyone, especially Bataar. Respect was earned on the Red Steppe, and Bataar seemed wholly unremarkable, with his black hair, plain face, and no accomplishments to boast of. He wasn't the cleverest, or tallest, or most vicious, but these useless idiots were wrong to underestimate him. The boy's good eye narrowed. "What are you looking at, whelp?" "I was just thinking it's unfair for someone to be both horse-faced and stupid," Bataar said, then bolted before the other boy's thick tongue could form a response. Tarkin burst out of his tent, running to keep up. "What'd you do?" His little brother Chugai clung to his side, too big to carry like that anymore, his eyes screwed shut, and small hands clenched into fists around Tarkin's tunic. "What makes you think I started it?" A rock flew past Bataar's cheek. A second struck him in the back, and he almost fell. On his arm, Erdenna screeched and thrashed her wings, buffeting his face.